It's Sunday the 29th of May 2016. This is a chart update for Perseus Mining. Perseus is a stock that I've followed very closely in these videos for the last 18 months or 2 years. All that time I talked about this resistance zone around 50 cents being a key level that we need to see broke through. It did get through that a couple of weeks ago as the gold price really sort of peaked out around 1300 US. Perseus got above 65, peaked at about 68, I think. Yeah, 68 cents. Really sort of speculative action toward the end of that run. And I started selling a few above sort of 55 just because I thought the move was overdone and it wasn't backed up by the fundamental information coming out of Edikan, which is still their only producing asset. They did have the merger with Amara go through, and they've got a really good asset there, I think, that I think will eventually become a mine based on all the economics. But the information coming out of Edikan was still very high costs, and they had a downgrade of production, which had already been downgraded last year. So, and their costs, still above. They're still treading water at these prices and not really making any money, and having to pay for a lot of the expenditure with the relocation project. But I mean, it broke through that. Regardless of all that, it still went up. And I think that's the market still is starting to pay attention to in-ground resources, which in the last couple of years no one really cared about. They never thought any of those projects would get off the ground. But Perseus has got some really good in-ground resources with that project, and with Sisingwe as well. So you see, it's come back a lot in the last week or two after peaking up above 60 at 68. It's come back this week and come down and got to 47. I put in a bit of a speculative order on Wednesday morning when I saw the gold price down heavily on Tuesday night Australian time. Perseus is a stock. I know a lot of people will talk about gap theory, and all gaps always get closed. And for some reason, Perseus is a stock where that actually applies. You can see here, for example, there was a gap from 30 to 31 cents, and it sort of went up and went up and went, and eventually it came back and it closed that gap. So I was looking at this, and the same here again. It went up there and eventually it comes back and just fills the gap. So I saw this gap here between 47 and 47.5, and put in an order at 47.5 just so it got hit, and it filled that order on Wednesday. So I think when you have these long multi-year ranges, and you break out above the resistance, a back test is a healthy process. So now it's come back and tested this region. I think as long as the gold price sort of, at least even if the gold price stays around these levels, I think Perseus is definitely into that next sort of leg up. Hopefully with improving production metrics to back it up. I mean, that's the one sort of question mark I have. I'm still not entirely confident there, but I'm not sure if the market really cares that much at this point. The bias definitely seems to be up. There's a lot of interest in this stock, more so than there had been here. You can see it on the chart there. You can really see just the dramatic sort of increase in volume compared to the last quarter of last year. No one wanted to touch it. And I pointed out something earlier on the Resolute chart, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, when had been at the bottom of its multi-year range, and you can see there's just no interest in that latter part of last year, and that's really what you want to see before it can go higher. And I think Perseus is set to go higher in the medium term. Hopefully in the next 3 to 6 months, all the issues at Edikan are sort of back to normal, and it can start producing it. Maybe $900 to $1,000 an ounce all in, which is what they were doing last year. But they've still had a few issues with development and everything. But it's still a stock I like. I think it just needed to get over some of that speculative action that it had toward the end of April. But a good one to hold if you're bull on US dollar gold.